Okay, good morning, everyone. Bienvenidos a todos. My name is Bill Roth. I'm the marketing lead for Log Insight. And today we have a truly exciting session. One of the things that we didn't want to do today is have one speaker up here droning on. We have no less than four presenters today, including myself. We also have the CTO of the Log Insight project, John Herlocker, as well as some special guests from partners, as well as the NSX team. You'll hear about them. You'll hear their content later. This is not the only session on Log Insight. There is a deep dive coming up, and that's with Steve Flanders. And that's coming up both at 1:30 as well as on Thursday. And then Michael White will also have a session at 5 o'clock today on tips and tricks. So that's actually my personal favorite session because you can learn from his experience as part of our Customer Zero team, so you can find out all the mistakes that he's made and all of the best practices that he's learned in building the product. Also, if you stay to the end, we will talk about a special offer where you could potentially win some free licenses. So stay tuned for that. Today we really want to talk about Log Insight and how through mining unstructured data in the form of the logs that are on your system, you can get powerful new insight specifically geared towards vSphere, but not limited to that. But first I want to do is give you kind of some context on the management strategy that VMware has, some of which you just heard in the keynote. And then we'll talk about where Log Insight is. You'll hear about Log Insight and NSX and how we are giving visibility to both physical and virtual networks, as well as we'll also talk about our Content Pack Marketplace on the virtual solution exchange on our website, where our partners, like our friends from NetFlow Logic, who you'll hear from later, have put their content pack. Part of our goal with the management software is to build intelligent, policy-driven management and automation for the software-defined data center. If you think about it, taking virtualization and managing it, it's the management that is the cloud, the management that allows you to do the provisioning, the management that allows you to do the management and allows you to provide value and distribute and discuss value of the cloud in your organization. Now, as Pat discussed in the keynote, there's really sort of three pillars to the management strategy here, and I won't belabor the point, but it falls exactly into that paradigm. There are products for installation, for provisioning. There are products for operations management, for monitoring, as well as products for cloud business management that help you provide and show real value for your cloud investment to your organization. Today, we're going to focus on operations management. This is where Log Insight fits in. And as many of you know, this is a new product announced in June. Today, we're announcing the public beta for Log Insight. So, for those of you who are interested, go to loginsight.vmware.com, and we'll give you instructions on how to sign up for that community, get a copy of the beta. If you have questions, you can ask one of us afterwards. So for those of you who may not have heard of Log Insight, let's talk about what it is. It's our log analytics solution. One of the things that still strikes me as interesting is that many people haven't truly realized the value of bringing log data from everything they own, everything with a digital heartbeat, and taking all of those logs, bringing them together, and allow them to be easily searchable. Up to 75% of IT organizations are still using manual processes, and we want to help eliminate that for both physical infrastructure and virtual infrastructure. We've put together this product, Log Insight, with an easy-to-use virtual appliance, and ease of use and usability has been a key design center for us. The key, out of the box, the key use cases are for IT operations, in the form of troubleshooting and root cause analysis. Coming soon, we'll be able to talk more about security monitoring, compliance, business transaction monitoring, and so on. And the commercial product is available for a 60-day trial off the Try VMware page. Just search for Log Insight, and you'll be able to find it. But Log Insight, while it works very well standalone, one of the true value propositions is the integration that we've put together with vCenter Operations Manager. How do you allow both the high-level visibility of operations management, where you get health statuses from your virtual infrastructure, and how do you merge the information that you're getting that's custom to your organization via your logs together in one package? We have built from the ground up the ability for Log Insight and vCenter Operations Management to work together. And finally, let me say this before we jump into the details. Unstructured data in the form of logs is a big data problem. I know of a particular cable operator, for example, that happens to generate several terabytes of unstructured log data a day, and they need to search it, they need to collect it, they need to report on it because of some of the regulated businesses. So it's bigger than just an IT operations issue. In many cases, there are compliance and legal issues and also business issues. So now to tell us more about Log Insight, I'll now turn it over to the Log Insight CTO, John Herlocker. All right, good luck.
Thank you. Well, thank you. That was Bill Roth, who just recently joined us as the product marketing manager for Log Insight. So thank you, Bill. So I know that what you guys are really here for today, right? Demos, right? Do I get that right? Demos? Do I see some head nods out there? You don't really want to hear too much talking. All right. So I'm going to just jam through my slides and just get straight to the demo because I know that's what you really want to see today. So as Bill said, I'm John. I have been responsible for the creation of this product. I am responsible for all strategy around this product. I also manage all engineering related to this product. So if you like it, come tell me. If you don't like it, I guess you should probably also come tell me, because it's my fault. Okay, so, like I said, I'm going to jam through these slides. I wanted to talk a bit about why VMware is really interested in investing in Log Insight today. Like, why is VMware doing this, right? Well, number one reason is, that log analysis is central to IT operations. For those of you guys that who are IT operators, when things go really bad, you kind of have to go and look in the logs to see what's happened. And so it is a key problem. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the big picture, right? But VMware doesn't release a lot of new products. And so the key point to take away is that we see log analysis, log management as a very critical issue, and also one that is becoming more critical than it was in the past for a variety of reasons, largely around scale, right? Largely around the increasing complexity of the architectures that we are creating today to manage that scale. And also, to some extent, because of this IT as a service, which is meaning that we as IT operators are now managing workloads that we don't even know what they are. Other people are provisioning them. Other people are designing them. And yet we have to be the ones who go in and say, why is it slow, right? Well, we didn't architect it. We didn't design it. It's a self-service app. Leads to more complicated debugging issues, more complicated sort of root cause analysis. And so we think that log analysis is a key thing that there needs to be more investment in today. And just to sort of reinforce a point that Bill made is we are obviously very focused on our virtual infrastructure, but Log Insight is designed to collect logs across your total infrastructure. Why? Because when you have a problem, it's not usually confined to your virtual infrastructure, right? It's probably your storage. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe I'm not, right? It probably is your storage. But in order to really understand and debug a problem, you have to look across all the layers of your stack. Therefore, Log Insight collects across all of those. You know, and of course, just reinforcing the point, you know, IT logs are becoming a big data problem, right? If you have we have multiple customers that do more than a terabyte a day, and just for fun, I tried to do a grep on a terabyte. You know, I don't know if you guys have tried this, probably not. It takes about an hour, right? And so if you're generating that much per day, we need sort of new tools, new solutions. We need new technology, right? We need new technology that helps us handle the scale. We need new technology that removes complexity instead of adds it. That's, you know, you heard Bill talking about usability. That's really one of our focus. How do we remove complexity? And I really hope when you try Log Insight, you go, wow, these guys have really worked hard to make this easy to use, right? It's not your classic IT management product. I hope that's what you say. If that's not what you say, please tell me so. Say, you know, John, I did not find this easier to use, and then I will go fix it. Come talk to me. But in general, what we really want to do is enable the latent value hidden in your data. Today, I guarantee you, you have logs with very compelling information in and you don't know that it's there. Guaranteed. I guarantee. Even if you're collecting the logs, you're not getting the full value out of those, right? You have the ability to increase the efficiency of your system. There are lots of low-lying failures happening in your infrastructure today, I guarantee it, that are eking away at your resources that you will never know about until you look deeply at your logs. And that's just one example. All right. Just want to say a few words about our approach to log analytics. Number one, architect from the ground up for big data. So in order to give you the full picture, you got to look across all your logs. And that is a big data problem, right? So we need an architecture that can handle that. So we have architected from the ground up to be scale out. What does that mean? That means that I can just keep deploying these Log Insight appliances and add more capacity. We have designed this such that it's trivial to increase capacity, such that load's automatically balanced, such that we've also designed it to do a lot of other fancy stuff like probabilistic implementations of hard questions. It turns out that, you know, distributed computing, distributed programming can be very complicated. So we've taken some of these sort of functions that you might want to compute across all your data and implemented probabilistic versions of them that are much more parallelizable. And in general, our system is all very incremental. So you can issue a query against a huge amount of data and streaming results will come back. And so you can sort of see immediate results, even if it's going to take a while to get the full answer across your data. I should point out that the current version 1.0 is we've certified sort of a single node version, and we're now in the process of certifying the multi-node version that will be coming soon, but it was built from the ground up to do this multi-node activity. The other thing that you're going to be seeing more of, and I won't talk a lot about it today, but part of VMware's vision for log data is that when you analyzing log data should be less and less of a manual thing as time goes on, right? We want to build as much automated statistical analytics where we just look at your log data and say, hey, we found some issues for you, as opposed to you kind of, you know, scraping through there trying to find the right stuff. And so I'm not going to talk a lot about this. You're going to see more and more from me about this over the next year or two. But what does this mean? It means automatic summarization, right? I have 100,000 results. Summarize that for me. Prioritization, right? I have a week of data. Is there some period of time in there that I should be paying attention to? Prediction, right? Based on the current log trends, here are some things that we predict are going to happen soon. These are all based on machine learning. Kind of think of it as artificial intelligence. We are making a heavy investment in this space, and part of Log Insight is to be a platform to support that. And of course, build the best VMware integration. So this is everybody's favorite slide. You know, we have a variety of management tools. Log Insight, part of the reason that Log Insight was created was to fill a gap, right? We have vCenter Operations Manager, does a great job collecting numeric time series, does a great job doing predictive analytics on those numeric time series, but there was this last mile to root cause, right? At some point you kind of know this particular node is failing or having a problem. Why is it having a problem? You have to go look in the logs. So we have some great integration between vCenter Operations Manager and Log Insight that we can show you a demo of. I'm not going to show a demo in this session, but we can show you a demo of that. All right, so here we go, to the meat. Let me show you the demo. You can all see me mistype my password. All right, so I'm going to show you a very quick overview of Log Insight in a few minutes here. And I'm going to start with what we call the dashboards. So Log Insight, on one hand, is a very powerful search-driven interface for logs that allows you to take unstructured data and do structured queries across that. I'm going to demonstrate that in a second. But we also want, in the effort of giving you a piece of software that you can get immediate value from right out of the box, we came up with a concept of dashboards and content packs. So the idea of dashboards is that you can sort of get a lot of rich visual information that you can come back and refer to. The concept of a content pack is that it's a package of information that out of the box sort of gives you, in some sense, a tour through the logs of a particular component. So in this case, what we're looking at is the vSphere, or the VMware vSphere content pack. So we at VMware, we know a lot about what's in VMware logs, right? We know a lot about what's in vSphere logs. How do we know? Well, our support teams are looking at logs 24/7, right? And we're finding issues, we're finding resolving those issues, et cetera. Our engineers are looking at logs all the time in order to do their debugging. In fact, they're the ones creating these logs. And so we kind of have deep knowledge about what are log messages hidden in your logs that actually tell you something that you really should know about, right? We have that information. And we thought, well, rather than giving you a tool which requires you to know that information, we want to give you a tool and then combine that with a vSphere content pack that says, here's the kind of stuff that you should be looking for when you're looking at your vSphere logs. And as we're going to hear later, we have made it very easy to create content packs. And so you'll see content packs for all the other VMware products coming soon. And you'll also see, as we'll talk, we have content packs from our key partners coming as well, too. And some have already arrived. So in this view, you can see this is the vSphere content pack. You'll see on the left, we have a set of panels that have different, think of it as different views into the data. On the right are sort of the actual panel itself. So in this case, we're looking at the overview panel for vCenter Server. And by the way, our man Steve Flanders here up front is responsible for this. So if you like what you're seeing, you can stop by and say hi to him. So here you can see, sort of things that are happening, faults, events, etc. One of the things we also do, for those of you that are vSphere admins, is we also pull in vSphere events. So as you know, vSphere events, there is a way to kind of look at those within the vSphere client, but you can't really do like analytics along this very well, right? Within Log Insight, you can build charts like this. You can track trends over time. You can create alerts that are complex. If this happens 5 times or more over a certain period of time, then I want to get notified, etc. But here's just a couple examples. Part of what this content pack does is give you a sample of queries that you can create, and it's very easy to clone these widgets and then tweak them to change the actual output of them to be more exactly what you want. But in this case, you can see that I've got a graph of tasks over time. I can sort of, each of these colors represents a particular task, like delete virtual machine or deploy OVF template, etc. I can also see a list of unsuccessful tasks over time, which is good. You can imagine I can create other charts like a trend of starting machines over to power-ups over time, etc. I can break it down by my clusters. It's very easy to take these dashboards and customize them for your own particular use. One of the things I really wanted to highlight in our vSphere content pack is, again, part of our goal of these content packs is for us to take all that deep knowledge that we have that's in those logs and communicate it to you. And so we could say, wow, you're getting some SCSI host side errors, right? But if you look at those log messages, they're pretty convoluted. There are lots of hexadecimal numbers, et cetera. Well, what does that really mean to you? So part of what we've done in this content pack is start to give you details. So in this case, I'm seeing a lot of SCSI errors of 0x5. Well, what does that mean? Hey, guess what? We can tell you, right? So we've actually started to bring together a lot of the information that is kind of hidden in our knowledge base entries, it's hidden in our internal sort of knowledge support systems that we have about these log entries and whether they're bad or not, what you should do about them. Put them in here. You'll notice we have it sort of in a tiered system, sort of immediate information that's very useful to you off the bat, and then sort of links to deeper knowledge within our knowledge base, saving you that additional step of doing all this grinding through the internet knowledge bases, et cetera, things like that. So that's just a quick tour of our content pack. You'll notice we have a growing array of partners that have created content packs. You'll see there's EMC, VMAX, VNX, there's NetApp is on there. You'll be seeing, there's HITRUST, Puppet, Cisco, UCS, et cetera. We have a large range of people that are starting to create content packs for VMware. And if you're a partner, obviously it's very easy for you to create a content pack for us as well, too. So that's kind of the first, this is sort of our dashboard view. There's more here. I encourage you to download and try this. Again, we're really focused on usability, ease of use, ease of installation. The last thing we want to, my number one motto is, I am not shelfware. We are not shelfware. So if we're shelfware for you, you got to send me an email. But one of the ways that we make that happen is you can be up and running with this in less than an hour, less than 30 minutes usually, and most of that time is just downloading the appliance. It's very fast to set up, very quick. And that way you can get it up and going and just immediately prove to yourself that it's actually working for you. I will spend a little bit of time looking at the interactive analytics view. Now this is the view where you really dig in, right? Where you really say, what I'm looking for maybe is not in one of these dashboards. I have a problem. I'm trying to do root cause analysis. I really want to understand what's going on. You come into this interactive analytics view. So within this interactive analytics view, it's primarily search driven, right? So actually I have this already set, but I can come in here, enter any keyword. Whoops, I guess I should show that. So you'll notice there's a autocomplete action here where it shows you, okay, that particular term appears in your logs, 1,313 times. Let's pick a different user, like, the word error appears, more than 4,000 times, et cetera. Error is upgrade event. So, we're really focused on usability. We're trying to find as many ways as possible to help you discover what's in your logs, even if you're not sure what's there. Help you navigate that, help you pivot around that, et cetera. When you search for something, like in this case, I've searched for the SQL. I'll just put this up here so that you'll see up top is a time breakdown. So over the last 6 hours of data, you can see the time range on the far right. This is the pattern of these sort of messages that I'm seeing in the logs, right? And what is this? It says, SQL execution took too long. This is actually one of those very useful messages that shows up in VMware logs if you're using the vCenter, and you're using the embedded database of vCenter. vCenter will tell you when it thinks your SQL database is too slow. Right? That seems like a pretty useful message to know about, right? And it says, hey, this SQL execution took too long. You probably have a problem, right? I can also see the pattern of it, which is very, very periodic, right? Which suggests that maybe my SQL server is always too slow, which is also possible in this case. But one of the things that I really want to demonstrate to you is where you can go from here, right? Part of what's happening here is that we take, what I want to demonstrate to you today is how we take unstructured data, like just raw log data, and we turn it into something you can basically issue SQL queries on top of, right? Just like that, point and click. So let's give it a try. So one of the questions, so right now I've already answered some questions, right? Okay, this thing's happening periodically over time. That actually tells me a lot. But maybe what I'd like to know is, it looks like it's all the same SQL statement here, right? Select, insert, stats proc, right? Is it really just that one SQL statement that's having problems? Or is it a variety of them? That's a question I'd like to answer, right? Now I could sort of like page through, all of my logs looking to see, is there anything different? And I might see that there's something different, but I want to sort of get a real feel for the distribution here. Essentially what I want to do is a SQL query that is a group by. I want to say do a SQL query, group by the actual type of SQL statement, and then give me the count within each of those groups. That's what I really want to do. But this is unstructured data. How would I do that? Let me show you. So what I do now is I just highlight. Sorry about that. When I look at my computer, I face my mic and I get twice as loud. I highlight the piece of content that represents that which I want to become, in essence, a database column, right? I want to be able to query that like a database. It's not a database, it's raw text, right? So all I do is I highlight the thing that I want to query, and you'll notice that little button pops up that says extract field. Click that button. So now what happens is a little machine learning, right? It says, okay, I'm going to try and infer a pattern that will capture that which is important to you, right, across all the messages that you have in front of you, right? And I'm going to show you the results of this exercise, right? And then I'm going to highlight those in green. That's what the system's doing. So I can now kind of scroll down here and see if it's sort of successfully captured everything. It sort of looks like that way. I can now give this a name. I'll call this slow SQL, right? I can save this. Now that I've saved this, this becomes like a database table column, right? So look on the right, you can see these fields, slow SQL, right? Now I can start to do analysis based on this field. So if I click on this field, now the first thing it'll do is it'll give me a breakdown across all of my SQL fields. So let's expand to a wider range of time. All right, so now we see a little bit more interesting results. And in fact, if I click on it here, it will move that chart up to the top so we can look at it even bigger. So you can see what I'm looking at now is the count of events grouped by slow SQL. So I'm grouping by this field that isn't even persisted in the disk, right? We're doing this all at query time. We're pulling these raw messages off the disk and super fast applying that extraction pattern that we have learned automatically and then applying SQL-like logic on top of it in order to analyze it. And now what I can see is that, in fact, there is more. So most of it is indeed that one query, but I'm also getting other SQL statements, right, that are being too slow as well too. And in fact, I can select, this to sort of zoom into what those events are, and there it is. I can see, over 24, I have at least one other message that occurs there. So what is this telling me? It's like, well, in fact, it's not just this one SQL statement. It's just that one SQL statement is the one that's the most frequently occurring. But when other queries are executed, they can also be slow as well too. And so I guess this is the real power of kind of one of the key powers of our system is that you come in, the data is completely unstructured, you tell it with a little bit of point and clicking, hey, this is important to me, make this a field. That becomes schema, in essence. And then the schema, once you create it, is now available to everybody that's using the system. So now anytime somebody does a search that has a message that looks like it has that field in it, that field will show up on the right, and you'll be able to do analytics on top of that. Once you've extracted a field, you can also start adding constraints to that, right? So you can say, slow SQL equals this, does not contain, etc. So you can actually apply operators to that field, right, to limit by it, etc. So again, very powerful, right? What we said, how do you take unstructured data and get to the point where you can easily do analytics on top of that in a way that's meaningful or makes sense to you, allow you to get to the insights. This is kind of the power of Log Insight. And you can do this for very large amounts of data. Okay, so there's a bunch of things in this product I will mention, and I won't spend a lot of time demoing. I would encourage you, to either go to the, we have a booth at the VMware area in the Solutions Exchange where we can show you demos. Some of the things that our product does that I'm not going to spend time demoing today are alerts. So you can say, if this particular query matches events and there's at least some number of those occur over some period of time, I'd like to get an alert. Those alerts can be email, they can go to you in VCOps as well. We have really awesome vCenter operations integration, so you can be in VCOps and you can say, you'd be looking at an object in VCOps, you could say, show me the logs for this object, and that'll automatically take you to Log Insight and show you the logs. If you have alerts defined in Log Insight, you can have those alerts go to vCenter Operations Manager, and there they can be overlaid as events on top of your health charts. There's just a lot of very cool things that Log Insight does that I don't have time to show you, but I have shown you today the dashboards and some of the basics of the analytics today within the system as well. So, swap back here. Easy. Demo, thank you. Okay, so as part of showing you, I figured, it's one thing to listen to me tell you about how cool my product is, but I don't know that you'd fully trust me. So I wanted to bring a few other people up to talk. I'd like to start by inviting Rod up here. So Rod is a product marketing manager for the NSX product, and he's going to tell us a bit about Log Insight, NSX, and, believe it or not, OpenStack.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Rod.
Yeah, we thought it'd be good to just see a little bit about how we use Log Insight in the real world. And so it's about a 2-minute video that I captured off of the Log Insight console that we actually use for our NSX cloud that we're using for our developers. So all the developers are actually using a cloud within VMware that's based, it's actually an OpenStack cloud management platform that we use to manage our cloud, and then you can see what's going on here. So I think if I click here, we'll go to a video. Space. Okay, does that start yet? Is it moving? Yep. So you can see here where we're looking at the number of logical switches, the logical ports that we have in our cloud. So I just zoomed in there to the last 6 hours. So you can kind of, as you see some of these peaks here, we're looking on the far left is the number of logical switches. So there's a little over 2,000 logical switches. We've got about 11,000 logical ports. This is router ports, 2,000 and some. 799 logical routers in there. These are the security profiles, the total number of VMs, so almost 3,000 VMs running in this cloud over this 6-hour period of time. And we can go in and look at all of the different, for instance, this is the vCPUs per host or per VM. This is some of the free disk space that's available for each one of the workloads. Here's the average, free RAM in megabytes for each one of these servers that are out there connected on the logical networks. And if you zoom in, I can go in and as John showed you, I can search specifically. Let's call it, say, server 98 here. I want to go out and grab somebody's server because maybe I got somebody asking what was going on. I felt something, maybe there was things going on slow. I can zoom in now on the 6-hour period of time and say, I want to just look at a particular area that looks like an anomaly here to me. And so now I can look at the log files for that specific area that's going on that particular server. Now, a lot of this, comes down to analysis, looking at what's going on. Our cloud manager uses this to make sure that he can see what's happening all the time and go back in time if there was some problems that he might experience. But, you can infer a lot of things here. For instance, that last graph there that we were talking about, the number of VMs, you can see over a 6-hour period of time, that started at about 9 o'clock in the morning. So the engineers come in and they start working, and then that peak is about noon. And then they go to lunch, and then they don't really do much after that. So we use that in an all-hands meeting to explain, maybe why things are slowed down a little bit. We're doing some really exciting things with Log Insight now. We're starting to look at actual traffic that's going on in the virtual network, so I can pick a particular virtual network and look at the activity on that virtual network. And with virtual networks, you have the ability to have workloads pretty much anywhere in the data center, and you want to be able to say, I want to look at this particular tenant or this particular group. And so we can go in now and start looking at traffic patterns within each one of the virtual networks. And then we'll take it to the next level. We're going to introduce some guys, partners with NetFlow Logix here. Damian Miller is going to join us here in a minute and talk about the content package that they're building, which will allow us to take both the files, the log files that are generating these kind of graphs, which come from the IPFix logs in the virtual networks, and then combine those and correlate those with the NetFlow logs that are coming from physical switches, so that now we can take what we know is going on in a virtual network and the host communications that are going on in the virtual network, and map those down to the flows in the physical network. So now you'll have the ability to see the traffic moving all the way from the virtual network across the physical network as those for each one of the tenants. So that was the slides that I had. I'm available after the presentation if you have any more questions. And I'd like to introduce Damian Miller with NetFlow Logix to talk about their content pack.
Great, thank you. So I'm Damian. I'm with NetFlow Logix. I'm the VP of Customer Success. I've spent the prior 9 years in the security information event management space, so I really love log data. And what got us excited about Log Insight was really the power of being able to create a content pack fairly quickly. And what we do is we make software, and we collect, as Rod mentioned, IPFix and NetFlow across the virtual and physical networks that span the software-defined data centers. And we convert that into log data. And once we bring it into Log Insight, we can really leverage the power to create these content packs to get some really compelling dashboards that you can see here on the screen that let us answer some really challenging questions around where the traffic is going across the physical network, what's happening in the virtual network, and really get the full picture and complement of what's taking place in real time. And if you have any questions about our content pack and what we're developing, we'll be available just outside. We have some small informational cards we could give you. And we're also going to be here throughout VMworld, mostly in probably the Solution Exchange area. And we'd be happy to speak to you. You can also go out to the Solution Exchange, and you can click on the Log Insight content packs and go there and register and get a tech preview and or a personalized demo.
Thank you, David. All right. So I guess part of the theme today was networking. I mean, obviously the Log Insight was the main topic, but we wanted to sort of focus a bit on networking as a theme. So you heard from Rod how internally we're actually using Log Insight to monitor the NSX multi-hypervisor product that they have deployed inside VMware. Also, we mentioned OpenStack. Part of that was we wanted to really NSX is a multi-hypervisor product. That's they have to test on OpenStack. That's why they're running OpenStack as well as vSphere internally. But I guess part of the point here is that Log Insight is a great product. It monitors not just virtual, but virtual plus physical. It monitors not just vSphere, but vSphere and other hypervisors. It monitors across the board every piece of your solution that you have here. And here we go. Wanted to come back to the content pack theme here a bit. Total operational visibility, right? That's what I'm really trying to give you guys. And the product today will take logs from any source, right? The next step for us is to, out of the box, give you sort of instantaneous insights into your logs right away. So today we can give you the log data right away, and you can immediately go in there and start doing interactive analysis of that. But you kind of have to bring your own knowledge to the table about what you're looking for. I mean, you can also discover what's there as well, too. We have a lot of capabilities to help you discover that. But we think it's even better if you fire it up and immediately you have a dashboard showing you interesting things. And your ecosystem is not just VMware, it's a variety of products. And so as Damien mentioned, thank you, Damien, it's very, very easy and quick. How long did it take you to create that content pack for Log Insight? Like a couple days, basically, to get the first version? Less than 3 days, basically, it took them to create the very first version of the content pack. So it's very easy to do this for our partners, and so you're going to see a lot more coming out. If you have EMC storage arrays, you have NetApp storage arrays, we have content packs for those out of the box, Cisco UCS, VCE. And the list continues. Every month we have more partners kind of announcing. And even, in fact, these are just the ones that have worked with us to create the content packs. Every now and then I Google and I find 3 or 4 more, like companies that have just sort of introduced their own content packs without telling me about it. So again, very easy. Also very easy for you guys as customers to create, your own dashboards and queries and alerts and share those with your colleagues as well. So, obviously, the first thing you need to do is download Log Insight. Now, you can sort of download the trial, or you can participate in the beta, which we're just for 1.5, which we just announced. But once you do that, there's a place called solutionexchange.vmware.com, where you can find sort of the store of all these. Now, don't be fooled by the word store. All of these content packs are free. Unlike some of our competitors, we do not charge for any of the sort of content, right? You buy the platform, all the content's free. Okay, so like I said, I didn't want to drone on forever, so we kept it brief. I didn't talk a lot. We did some cool demos. We brought some partners up. We got some internal and external to kind of help sell why it's so great and easy and fun. Actually, the fun part we didn't really get to, but I think it's fun. There are some more sessions, as Bill mentioned. If you're thinking, you know what, I'm ready to go install this, right? Then I highly recommend the second session, Tips and Tricks with vCenter Log Insight. The first session is a deeper dive into how to use it. And in fact, if you're going to go to that session, you might even want to download it before you go there, right? So you can give it a try. But the first session is also great, run by actually, one of my top engineers will tell you sort of gory details about how the system works and how to get the most out of Log Insight. It really helps if you know a little bit about it, but even if you don't, it's also very interesting if you're very interested in log analytics. But anyway, so there's 3 sessions available for you, all coming up. And good, so that's it. Thank you. We have some time for questions. And for any one of us, there's all 4 of us. So I don't know if we have a mic, so I'll just repeat the questions. Please. Excellent question. Top secret, no. So it's entirely built by us. So it doesn't run on Hadoop. It doesn't run on any NoSQL database you've heard of. We have all the intellectual properties owned by us. A lot of the core code is written in Java, which, you believe it or not, you can build a very high-performance system nowadays with Java. That wasn't the case when I was writing Java, but today it's amazing. And so yes, majority is in Java. It runs as a virtual appliance. And part of our assessment we did when we were building this system, I did a lot of looking at existing kind of NoSQL databases and stuff. And part of what we found is that they were complicated. And there weren't a lot of people who knew how they worked all the way down to the core. And so we wanted to build something where we understood every line of code that was in there, all the engineers, and so we've written every single line of code in there. And it allows us to do some very amazing things. This isn't if you go to the deep dive, you'll learn more about it, but we do an amazing amount of processing. Like when you issue a query, right, we pull raw records from the desk, we apply regular expressions to extract sort of fields out of it, we then run that through a query processor like SQL, and we do all this in milliseconds, and it's amazing. But we can only do that because we own the pipeline all the way down to the disk structures on disk, and so it also kind of gives us an advantage, I think, so in terms of being able to build a better product. Yes, in front.
My company has several data centers across the world. Can I install in each data center and Log Insight?
Yep.
And control them from one dashboard?
I will go ahead and repeat. Sorry, I didn't repeat your question, even though I said I was going to. So the question is, if I have multiple data centers around the world, can I run Log Insight in each of them and control them centrally from one place? So I'm going to pause. I'm going to answer a different question first, because I realized I didn't talk about licensing at all. And so first I want to talk about licensing. With respect to licensing, our licensing model is per node under management, and specifically per node that you want to collect logs from. So you can sort of start with a few systems collecting logs, add more, only have to pay for the ones you're collecting logs from, and it's an unlimited number of logs per node, and it doesn't matter where they are in the world, I guess, is sort of the other answer. So you can install as many servers as you want. There's no licensing to the number of instances of Log Insight you install. What you pay for is the number of nodes that you're collecting data from. Each physical device counts as a node. Each virtual machine counts as a node. So if you want to collect data from your ESX, that's actually considered a node. OSI is the technical term, operating system instance. But so your ESXi logs would count as one source, and then every VM on top of that would count as an additional. And then if you want to collect data from your network switch, that's another. So the first answer is there's no cost to installing multiple instances of Log Insight. You just pay for the nodes you're managing. Today, we don't currently have a way that sort of a federated view across multiple data centers, but it's definitely something that's on our roadmap. So today, you can install one in each. But we don't yet have a UI that allows you to query both of those at the same time or sort of do roll-ups of that. But that's definitely on our roadmap. Actually, I think I had a question. No. Okay. Go for it.
So how does it present? So if you put 3 nodes in a data center,
Yep.
does it have one VIP you send all the traffic to?
Right. So how does a multi-node configuration present then, based on that last question? So the next release, so the first multi-node version of Log Insight, which is coming out shortly in 2.0, is the way it works is you can combine any number of nodes into a cluster. That cluster you can have will have a single yes. So you have two choices. We have an internal load balancer that you can use, or you can use an external load balancer. It's your choice, right? If you use the external load balancer, it's sort of a single VIP that will just sort of, distribute the data across all of them, right? If you use our load balancer, it's a single point of failure, but you don't have, it's one less piece to install, but you have a single point, and there's only one node that you send the data to, which is then does its own load balancing afterwards, right? But if that node goes down, everything's down. So you have a choice. If you want no single point of failure, use an external load balancer. If you want simple, right, you just use the built-in one. Each way, there's just one IP that you have to worry about.
And it presents like syslog?
Today, it presents like syslog, correct? Yep. So anything that sends syslog data. Bill, are you allowed to ask questions? I'm not sure that's fair.
Well, I have a question. John, how can people in this presentation get 5 free licenses of Log Insight?
Thank you, Bill.
Do you have any idea?
I'm feeling generous today, Bill. Thank you for the suggestion. So, because Bill suggested it, I'm going to offer you 5 free licenses of Log Insight just for coming to VMworld. But there's a catch. You have to follow us on Twitter. Which is, Bill?
Follow us at VM Log Insight, or come see me afterwards. I've got URL cards. So that, by the way, and I believe, isn't that $1,000 worth of software at list price, John?
Yes, Bill. I can't believe we're giving this much away for free. So yes, so that is indeed, it's for real. There are 5 free licenses. You follow VM Log Insight on Twitter. We'll give you the link to sign up and register, and we'll send you your license key, right? And so you can get those first, all the more reason to get started with Log Insight. Thank you, Bill. Any more questions? Yes, in the red, yeah.
Comparing this a little bit to a product we already use for our application monitoring, which is called Splunk.
Yep.
I'm sure you know that. How does that compare? They have a sort of this
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, with 2.0, we're introducing a fully distributed architecture that will allow you to add more nodes, to break up that compute across multiple nodes. There are a lot of similarities between Log Insight and Splunk. That's true. Some of the major differentiating factors. I don't really have time to go into the technology differentiating factors. I mean, obviously, we built everything we have from scratch. There's a lot of stuff that we've done that we believe makes our system faster and more powerful. The easier ones to explain are the sort of licensing ones. Splunk will charge you per megabyte. We'll just charge you per node. Inevitably, what does that mean? It means with Splunk, you spend all your time trying to decide what you're not going to collect, which inevitably turns out to be what you actually needed when the thing crashes. With us, you just collect as much as you want per node, and there's no penalty there. So we think there's a significant advantage on our licensing. And of course, today we have all the built-in knowledge about VMware products into ours, and you're going to see that grow. And so I think as VMware customers, you're going to get the most value out of us. But to your point, there is no reason you cannot use us as application monitoring, right? So we are a very powerful tool across the board, not limited to sort of VMware stuff. And yes, and we're going to continue to, you're going to continue to see more innovations from us that will set us apart, I think, over time as well. All right, maybe one more question. Yes.
You got any planned plugins for Microsoft products like Exchange or SQL?
Excellent question. So, we've been, asking Microsoft if they would sort of start creating some plugins for our product, and they just don't seem that willing to jump up to the game. But we've given them some time to really step up, but they're just not moving that fast, I got to say. And actually, that's kind of honest. Right now, where we are is that we've created the Content Pack ecosystem. And the partners have all the partners that you see up here that you saw that have released Content Pack, they all did that work. We didn't do any of that, right? Except for vSphere, which is what we did. So next year, over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, we are going to go and create ourselves the key content packs for the partners that we think will never step up, right? And Microsoft is at the top of our list, to be fair, because we're pretty sure they're never going to step up, so we're just going to go do that one ourselves. So yeah, so we've identified, so VMware considers certain Microsoft products to be business-critical applications. They are Exchange, SQL Server, and SharePoint, I believe, right? And so those are the three that we're going to target as well. Oh, and IIS, sorry. And so those four will be the ones that we're going to do. And so you kind of saw a couple examples of dashboards. Particularly interesting was the one Rod showed you, monitoring internal. You'll see dashboards like that, but for those key products. In addition to the dashboards, there'll be queries, alerts, right? Lots of alerts that you might want to have set up on your logs, as well as kind of all the schema, right, which will have been defined already for you, so you won't have to go and do. I realize it's like 2 clicks to define your own schema, but we'll have done that for you, so that all those fields will already have been extracted. You'll be able to create your own sort of charts and dashboards and stuff. So, all right, I think that's it. Thank you very much for coming, and have a great VMworld.